Oh, hello there. It was time to transition, and my voice just cracked. What am I? Oy vey. Okay. So, hello. We are hopefully finishing the Sherlock Holmes Escape Book today. And if you finish this with me, if you've watched everything, you can say that you've read this book. Dun dun dun. If you do reading challenges, I don't know. I'm counting it. I think that I'm two-thirds of the way through. It's impossible to tell because your voice is breaking. Oh, Anya, your body is going to go through some changes, but it's all perfectly natural. No, I'm almost positive that we're two-thirds of the way through this. We have experienced a couple of potentially book-ending scenarios, and just some of them are dead obvious, like, oh yes, smoke your pipe until the end, until the morning. Obviously, that's going to end the book, but we are continuing on because we are Sherlock Holmes. So the last time I ended with this stock information and a story about a drunken guy who had rearranged things and we had to do math. And I was just like, we're like 2 hours into this. I'm going to stop here. I have not looked at it since. And so now we have to start with math. So I will start by rereading this little part of the story, and then we will go from there. So, you thumb through more items from the bundle of documents you found in the safe. One is an inventory and incident report from the foreman. It describes some tomfoolery by a drunken apprentice involving 4 small bins that at the start of the incident contained respectively, 5 hooks, 8 wide bolts, 10 long bolts, and 100 washers. The apprentice repositioned single items from each bin to every one of the others. That is, he took 3 wide bolts from the wide bolt bin and put 1 in each of the other bins, and did the same with the long bolts, the hooks, and the washers. He then set about demonstrating with balances that each of the bin's contents now weighed exactly the same. This interesting discovery, however, failed to amuse the foreman, who insisted that all the parts be returned to their original bins. The apprentice was subsequently sent to his lodgings with a thick ear, a shilling docked from his wages, and the instruction to sleep off his need to tamper with the pumping station's inventory. By the time you've finished reading it, you conclude that this episode has no bearing on your current predicament, but you can't help realize, as perhaps the apprentice had realized too, that you can accurately calculate the relative weights of all the parts from this inebriated display. Such is the curse of having the mind of the world's finest consulting detective. You process all of the information you consume all the time. How heavy is a hook? I admit I don't know if I want to do this math. Oh, it seems like a lot of work. So the 2 options we're given are as heavy as 6 wide bolts or as heavy as 6 long bolts. How heavy is a hook? I don't know if I want to do the math. I think I'm going to look at the hints because I'm being lazy. I'm going to look at the hints. So 43's hint. There's more than one way to solve this. Oh, okay. But one method requires you to dust off your algebra, which is why I did not care. The key thing is that after distribution, all the bins have the same weight. Furthermore, because one item from each bin was put into each of the other bins, you know that each bin has 3 fewer items because whichever bin you pick, there are 3 other bins. Yeah, right? Fire up a spreadsheet? No, thank you. Then the inventory stated, plus 1 of each of the other items. So using H as an individual hook, B for a wide bolt, uppercase B for a wide bolt, lowercase b for a long bolt, why not two different things? Anyway, and W for a washer, you can say this. 2 times H plus uppercase B plus lowercase b plus W equals H plus blah, 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 blah. Yeah, no, I'm not. I don't want to do the math. I'm just going to look at the answer. I could do them. I can do the math. I know how to do the math. I don't want to do the math. Oh my God. Nope, I'm not doing it. I'm not. I'm being lazy. Sue me. Let's see. 43. The relative values are 1 hook equals 4 wide bolts equals 6 long bolts equals 96 washers. You don't know their exact weights, but you can be sure of these relative values. So the answer is that 1 hook is as heavy as 6 long bolts. Okay, this puzzle is actually very old. It appeared using gems instead of industrial pieces in the Lilavati, an Indian book on arithmetic written in the 12th century. That's really cool. And see, we wouldn't have known that if I hadn't cheated. So we've learned something new through cheating. So 6 long bolts is the answer. Don't mind me. Okay, so we're turning to 58. There we go. A red notebook. Sherlock would have cheated if he could. Exactly. So you rifle through the documents and notice a red notebook. Every one of its pages has a page number printed on it, but due to an error at the publishers, every 4th number was skipped in the series. More math? Really? So the pages are numbered 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 13, and so on. You turn to the 12th page. It has the number 15 printed there. There are 32 pages in the book. What number is printed on the last page? Is it an even or an odd number? Okay, I'll do this one. It's much simpler. Oh. So at least it's gone to the 12th page is 15. So that means that there are 20 pages left. I can do the long way or I don't know if I can do the short way. My brain is not good for math right now. I'm not terribly awake. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11, 12. Yes, that is correct. Okay. So 16 is skipped. 17, 18, 19, 21, 22, 23, 25, 26, 27, 29. So we're at 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. 23, 24, 33 is 25, 34 is 26, 35 is 27, 37 is 28, 38, I lost my count because I'm saying so many numbers. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. 30 is 39, 41, 42, 42, if I did it right. 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36, 40, yes. So 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. Yes. Haha. I did the lazy method. Okay, so it's an even number. It's 42. Okay. I know that there's probably a very easy mathematical formula for figuring that out, but I did it. It's fine. So we have an even number. We're turning to 88. A slow clock. You know, they were talking all about how we would see 3 numbers 3 times in this game, and we've seen 4 so far. I do not know. I do know that the 1:20 a.m. was the route that we did not take. So 111 is the one that we've seen. Just going to point that out. But in any case, we're at 88. You are distracted from your investigation by the page numbers by Watson snapping his pocket watch shut. The look on his face suggests he's just used it to make a discovery. Hey, the importance of that discovery remains to be seen and presumably depends on you. The clock here is running 10 minutes slow, Watson declares. You don't doubt your companion's observation, but your habit is always to instinctively check such assertions. So you pull out your own watch and flip it open. It is indeed as the doctor has claimed. The carriage clock you noticed when you came into the office is showing a time that is precisely wrong by 10 minutes. Look at the last page of the red notebook. Turn to 64. Names in a grid. Cool. What does this have to do with the clock? So the last page of the notebook has a grid of letters on it. You quickly spot names in the grid that are spelled out in straight lines, forwards, backwards, down or up, even diagonally, but always in a straight line, no bending. Nagging away at everything you see in your current imprisoned state, and perhaps even outside of it, is the invisible hand of your adversary, the Napoleon of crime, the spider at the center of the underworld web. Which I love that description, is the name Moriarty concealed in the grid. Well, let's switch out this image because I'm sure that I included this one. Let's see. Browse. 464. I did. Haha. Let's move it to where you'll be able to see it. You know what? I'm going to cover up my face, because this is a rather large image. Y'all don't need to see me in this case. There we go. Do you see Moriarty in here? Haha, I can squint closely at my book because you can't see me. Oh, they're so tricksy. I hate this. There's Mrs. Hudson in here. She's on the first line. But there's like lots of MORs and I's that are clustered together. Mavi. Right? Yeah, there's a bunch of Nearly Moriartys. There's Lestrade. M-O again. And MDs. Moriy on the fourth line. Moran on... God. They had to make this difficult. Well, I mean, of course they did. It's a puzzle. So many mores. Ah. Mom. Morrill. Mycroft is there. Hi, Mycroft. And Holmes. Okay, so Mycroft Holmes. Whatever. Morrow. Okay. Mock, Mal, Moo. Wilhelm, whoever Wilhelm is. Moral. Luckily, we just have to look for the M's and go around them. Bradstreet? Who's Bradstreet? Moit. One thing I do appreciate about this book is that they have so many different kinds of puzzles. So even if you're not good at one of them, you might be good at some of the others. Someone Jones, Methylene Jones, I don't know. Jones. Moyart. Warren. There's a Baker and a Reich. Yeah, no Moriarty. I do not see it. Yeah, I just went through every single line. I do not see it anywhere. So I'm going to say no, Moriarty is not on the grid. Also, I might come back to this later just to see if I can find all of the names, because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 16 names in this, apparently. I did not catch all of them because I was just looking for Moriarty, but I don't see his name in the grid. So turn to 74. The Clockmaker's Conundrum. You push the notepad away and look over to the carriage clock. There's a piece of folded paper tucked under the base. When you point it out, Watson brings it to you at the desk because you're too lazy to get up. Okay, Sherlock Holmes. Right? Rosie's snoring under my desk. You unfold the paper, flatten it out, and read the printed text. It's a puzzle about a time. Hey, maybe now our times will be relevant. So let's see, 74. I know, Rosie. Life is so unbearable. Okay. So I'm going to move this to where y'all will be able to see it, hopefully clearly. So let's show. Okay. Interesting. Start at 10:30. Find the next time the hour hand and the minute hand are in exactly a straight line pointing away from each other. 2 hours before that. Interesting. So round the time down to hours and minutes. Don't worry about the seconds. Interesting. I'm going to have to pull up a clock. So this is not anything to do with the 3 hours that we were supposed to keep track of. So, let's see. Interactive clock. Are you an interactive clock? Okay, you are. So start at 10:30. Okay. Find the next time the hour hand and the minute hand are in exactly a straight line. Okay. That would be... It looks like 11:28, I think. Yeah, that looks like a straight line. 1, 2, yeah. Wait, 15, 20, no wait, 15, 25, 26, 27. 11:27 it looks like. So 2 hours before that. 11:27, so 9:27. Oh, I just realized I was like reading the clock and they had the actual like digital clock right next to it. Oh, if anyone's curious what website I'm using for this, I probably should have popped it into the chat while I was doing it, but whatever. That's the clock that I used. It was the first one that popped up on Google. So, in any case, 9:27. Yeah. The next time the hour hand and the minute hand are exactly in a straight line pointing away from each other 2 hours before that. Yeah, so it would be 9:27. I'm going to write that down. That's number 74. Okay, turn to 89. Cool, we have another thing. So let me pull this up beforehand. I'm so glad I took pictures of all of these and I took the time to do all this. Oh no, I didn't include, no wait, 89, yes. I was like, oh no, I didn't do it. But this one is a map. It makes it much more enjoyable to see what I'm seeing, I think. So, okay, I will reveal our lovely map. Sorry for the bend on that. It was literally just me holding the book open and taking the picture. So, that was from 74. Yes. As you finish noting your answer in your pocket notebook. Pocketbook is a different thing. Pocket notebook. Watson makes an announcement. There's something on the back of the Queen. Seems like an odd and intimate thing to mention, but then you realize he means the back of the portrait of the Queen. You lift it off of the wall to access the safe. You lifted it off of the wall to access the safe, but hadn't looked at the painting itself. Watson passes it over to you and you lay it out face down, no disrespect intended to Her Majesty, and look at what appears to be a floor plan. Not just talking about the Queen's booty, no. So, it's a plan of the pumping station, says Watson. Indeed it is, and it shows something neither of you knew about before. There's a coal tunnel that runs from the yard There's a coal tunnel that runs from the yard, which the booby-trapped door opens onto, under the fence and the gates, and out to the river. That might be very helpful, you say. Cool. I don't think that we needed to solve anything. You just look at the pretty picture. That is good to know. I will say it's actually nice to just, see all of the things here. You get to see what it looks like here. Cool. So it says, I think it's time we left. Turn to 31. Booby-trapped. You stand up and make a declaration. Watson, I think we need to try that booby-trapped door. Watson looks at you uncertainly. Do you know what time to set the clock hands to in order to disarm it? My dear doctor, you reply, I have set my mind to it. That surely is enough for us both to be confident about escaping alive. Good to hear it. He is a loyal fellow, after all. Although I'd appreciate you keeping an eye on that mountain of a stoker while I'm about it. Now I gotta look up why they call them booby traps. Please do, tell me. You leave the office by the door that leads into the boiler house. Go back into the boiler house, turn to 87. It's a good thing I had my finger on 88 still. And we have a cleft heel. So, let's see. Why are they called booby traps? I cannot say words today. In approximately 1590, the word began appearing in the English language as booby, meaning stupid person, slow bird. That would make sense. The phrase booby trap originally applied to schoolboy pranks, but took on its more sinister connotation during World War I. The more you know. I like that. Thank you. Okay, so a cleft heel. As you make your way across the boiler house floor again, you see that the stoker is working the firebox of another boiler. He's been moving around, and you see the footprints he's left in the coal dust. You pause to look at them carefully. He's got a cleft in the left boot's heel and a hole in the sole, which leaves a distinctive mark. As you stand studying the prints, you notice that the sound of shoveling has stopped. Let's see. You stand upright and see that the stoker is also standing erect, staring at you silently. Not disturbing at all. He's some distance away, but somehow that doesn't make him any less intimidating. You hurry on towards the door and its booby-trapped contraption. Go to the door, turn to 66. I think that if we had just gone with the door, we wouldn't have found the governor, if I remember correctly. So, 66. A sequence of times. You are back before the door that, were it to open, would let you out of the boiler house and into the grounds of the pumping station, and thereby, presumably, freedom. Watson stands beside you, and once again the two of you look at the wires, flasks, and mechanisms of the booby trap that stands between you and escape. There's a clock face on it with hands that you can reposition. You have concluded that you just need to set those hands to a specific time to disarm the trap and allow you to harmlessly open the door. Do you know what to set it to? Asks Watson, in a manner that is predictable as it is infuriating. Of course you know what time to set it to, don't you? But because you know he's at heart a very good sort, in fact, the very best of sorts, you indulge Watson with an explanation. I've already got a collection of precise times I have carefully observed, you say, so I just need to identify the pattern that binds them. Then the time I need will be missing. Then the time I need will be the missing one in the arrangement. I see, says Watson, although you both know he probably doesn't. So, What time is it? You prepare to set the hands on the clock face of the booby-trapped contraption to the required time. Set the hands on the clock face. Turn to 86. 86. Okay. Moment of truth. Watson seems a little nervous as you reach forward and set the clock hands to the time you've confidently determined is the setting that will disarm the trap. Okay, so what did 66? What did he say? So the pattern that binds them, the time I need will be the missing one in that arrangement. Okay, so we have 11:41 a.m., 2:15 p.m., and 1:11 a.m., and 9:27 a.m.? Yeah. It didn't specify. It just said 10:30. So one of these has to be unrelated. I'm assuming, based on the fact that at the beginning, let me get to Watson's notebook. Oh, no, wait. No, there were more times. I thought there were only 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are actually 5 times. So one of the times is missing. So these are all related. 9:27 did not specify if it was AM or PM. Let me look at that again. I think it was number 28. No. Where are you? I do not know where that went. There it is. Okay. So start at 10:30. It does not specify if it's AM or PM. That's frustrating. Okay. So realistically, they give us 4 times. So we can compare those times to the times that we have. So putting them in, I'm going to put them in time order to start, with the 9:27 being a mystery. We have 1:11 a.m. We have 11:41 a.m. 2:15 p.m. I feel like the 9:27 has to be an AM just based off of all of this, because it's a little bit too far away if it's PM. So I'm going to add that in the middle and see. So 1:11 a.m., 9:27 a.m., and we have one that's missing, which would probably be between the 11:41 and the 2:15 based off of that. I'm going to bookmark this so that we can get back to it. So what's the difference between, oh no, what am I saying? It's going to be between 1:11 and 9:27, logically. So let's look at the difference between 9:27 and 11:41. The time difference is 2 hours and 14 minutes. Right? 2 hours. 37, 38, 39, 40, 41. Yeah. So 2 hours and 14 minutes difference there. Let's see, between 11:41 and 2:15, 11:41, 12:41, 1:41, and then 19 plus 15 is 34. Yeah, so 2 hours and 34. So that's a 20-minute jump there. So then this one I can just do easy subtraction. 8 hours and 16 minutes difference between 1:11 a.m. and 9:27 a.m., which doesn't match what I was going for. Intriguing. It was 2:15 p.m., right? I very smartly wrote down the numbers of the places in question, so I'm just going to look at number 50. Yeah, 2:15 p.m. Let's look at 36. Where's the time? Yep, 19 minutes to midnight. Oh, p.m. p.m. That would make a difference. What was the time then? 11:41 p.m. So scratch the math that I was doing before. So if that's the case, it might still be 9:27 a.m. because then there's a wider gap between times. So that is a challenge. Okay, so we've got 12:41. So that's an hour and a half difference between 11:41 p.m. and 1:11 a.m. Yeah. The difference between, oh, what did I erase? 8:16? 8:16. The difference between 9:27 a.m. and 2:15 p.m. Finding the pattern in this is hard. And that is provided that we followed all of the correct answers. There might not actually be a pattern in this because there are other times, and so it might not be related. Let's see, 9:27, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2. So 4 and an hour less 12, 48. I am genuinely not seeing a pattern in here unless the 11:41 p.m. needs to be at the bottom, in which case the difference between that and 2:15, I'm still not seeing it, is 9 hours. Yeah, I'm not seeing a pattern. $9.26. I'm not seeing a pattern in it, so I am going to look at a hint. Setting the hands. If you've proceeded through the other puzzles correctly, you'll have seen 4 times the time the governor was abducted, the time on the carriage clock in the office, the result of the clock hands pointing away from each other puzzle, and the train ticket you found in the boiler house. Okay, so the time the governor was abducted, is that correct? 68. Okay, so that clock is slightly wrong, so I'm missing one. Maybe. Oh, carriage clock is running slow. Furthermore, Watson will have pointed out that the carriage clock is running slow, so you need to modify that time accordingly. Unfortunately, if you've got some puzzles wrong along the way, you may have been shown some unhelpful times too, which make it hard or impossible for you to solve this. If you look at the times you have, you can notice that they are all 2 hours and 24 minutes apart. Apart from the one gap, which is 4 hours and 48 minutes, twice that. That is, you should have 4 times, and you can calculate the 5th one. So I've got 2:15. It's a.m. The 1:11 a.m. was unrelated. Okay, so we've got 2:15, which is the time on the discarded train ticket. 7:03, the time the governor was abducted, which I do not have at all. 9:27, which I do have. Okay, so I have some of the times. AM. Okay. And then 11:51 after correcting for the slow time. So I don't know where the 7:03, I didn't see the time that governor was abducted, but maybe I did and I just didn't realize it, which is totally possible. So the solution, given that, is 4:39. It's the time you need to set on the booby trap. Okay. 4:39. I missed one and miscalculated. It happens. We're fine. So we are going to turn to 30. No chime. You set the clock hands to the position and feel a tinge of disappointment when there's no chime or click to suggest anything has changed. Do you open the door? So they give the options of yes, open the door, or no, go back and set the hands again. Turn to 29. Footprints. You jump out of the boiler house. You're free of the building! Very exciting stuff, I know. Watson follows 1 second later and heaves on the door to try to shut it, but its stiff hinges won't be rushed. What the deuce are you doing, Holmes? He demands when he sees you staring at the ground. Yay, we didn't explode. He's in a hurry to get away from Moriarty's hoodlums, including that giant stoker, presumably, but you are stock still, examining the footprints out here in the light of the mud yard. It is hard to tell because there's only a dim lantern illuminating the ground, but you're looking to see if all the recent footprints here are accounted for. Are the prints here just those of the engineer's murderer, the giant stoker, and the watchman? Or are there more of Moriarty's henchmen at large? So it's 3 pairs of boots or 4 different pairs of footprints. So I'm not going to show this to you. I see the cleft foot footprints, which are like the cleft heel and the hole, which is the stoker. And I see the broken heel. Oh my goodness. I'm going to turn this light on to look at this because I swear their ink that they chose is really difficult. Okay, so just looking at this. There's 1. There's 2. There's 3. There's 4 people. Yes, now I have moody detective lighting. But, like, see how hard it is to see those over here? Like, getting the lighting is really tough. Yes, moody detective lighting. No, I don't need that. There are definitely 4. Definitely a smoke machine. I would much rather that. Okay, so there are 4 different pairs of footprints here. Turn to 103. We'll see if I'm right. It looks like 4. the yard. Be alert, Watson, you say. These footprints suggest there's at least one more hoodlum at large than we can account for so far. Your prudence is rewarded. Ha ha. When another hoodlum appears from beside a stack of barrels here in the yard, this one just as big and menacing as the giant stoker. You are not caught unawares. Mind you, you don't have a plan for dealing with him either, other than to run into the coal tunnel that you hope might have been overlooked. You can get there at a stretch, but then so can the big man. You turn to the ever-resourceful Dr. Watson, who is pointing his service revolver directly at the hoodlum, now standing stock still and slowly raising his hands into the air. You feel obliged to comment on the sudden appearance of the firearm. I didn't think you had brought your revolver, Watson, you say. Well, he replies, I did. At that moment, the boiler house door flies off its hinges and the giant stoker steps through. You don't like the look of the manic grin playing on his lips. But Watson has bought you enough time to cross the short distance to the concealed entrance of the tunnel, backing away from the hoodlums who follow a cautious distance away as Watson levels his gun at them. As the thugs come together, you wonder briefly if they might be twins. When you're close to the mouth of the tunnel, Watson lets loose a bullet. He aims at the ground between the two hoodlums to make them jump, which they do, albeit briefly. Albeit? I actually don't know how to pronounce that. And you both turn and sprint into the black arch that offers perhaps a route to the river and escape. British police have never been armed. 0 out of 10. Immersion ruined. Well, Watson's a doctor, so no gun for him. Anyway, I don't know. Okay. Hey, I did the thing. Hang on, I'm gonna hide this. Save. It makes me save every time, and I don't know why. So, 102. I didn't take a picture of the full thing because it's a full page, but I took a picture of our lovely little dancing guys, and I will make it visible this big because it's a little bit hard to see. But Holmes, there you go. Solve the puzzle with me. Very exciting. Huzzah, huzzah. Hang on one second. I just saw that I got added. Oh, you messaged me. Oh, come on. Captions, why do you do this to me? Oh, chaos. Anyway, yes, so the coal tunnel. Oh wait, he's ex-military, isn't he? He's probably a ex-army gun or something. Yep, that's exactly right. Okay, the coal tunnel. Yes, you did send that to me. The captions hate me. Anyway, get cracking if you want. If not, I'll be doing it. So, you're looking for a number. For context. So these days, coal for the beam engines is delivered by railway on the other side of the works. So this tunnel running to barges on the river is not in regular use. There are 2 iron rails here, once used to transport hand carts, which, by the way, there's the beautiful full picture for you. And, that's where the thing is. It's really hard to see, so it's a good thing that I have this. Let's see. Once used to transport handcarts, hauled by rope and pushed from behind, but the tunnel is neglected. There is debris and forgotten props. There are debris. Is debris? And forgotten props and planks piled near the entrance. Water drips from the patches of moss that have managed to grow in some of the mortar cracks. It forms puddles among the rails and the sleepers, rippling around piles of spilled or discarded coal. Mercifully, cables stretch along the tunnel walls, and the lighting system is still operational. Okay. Sadly, the power only extends a little way into the tunnel. Beyond that, the light fades, and the remainder of the passage is in darkness. For now, you make haste while you can see what's ahead of you. The lamps on the ceiling cast their reflections in the pools of water, and your keen eye detects the mirrored images of dancing men ciphers that have been scratched into the rough rock in the ceiling of the coal tunnel. Shouldn't they say in the ground? Because it's on the bottom? Okay. This is a fiendish cipher indeed, more suited to a carnival hall of mirrors, but it is not beyond the wit of Sherlock Holmes to break the code. Okay. So we've got two dancing dudes upright. Let's see, are any of them the same? No, they are not. So two dancing dudes upright with their legs stretched straight out. One of them both arms up, one of them left arm up. Well, the left arm up is an X, so 16? How many? S-I-X-T-E. No, that's 60, 61 maybe? Probably 61. No, that's the second letter. Oh, it probably needs to be rearranged. There's 8 total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so the next one. So many. There it is an E. So that's the first. EX. Okay, now we've got two breakdancing dudes. Both of them have the left side arm down. One of them has a leg stretched out and bent. The other one has both bent. Nope. Wrong arm outstretched. Correct arm outstretched, but they're not bent. The legs need to be bent. You need to be upside down with your legs bent. Maybe they're not supposed to be upside down? I don't know. I have not spotted any that are upside down with their legs bent, so it might be that it's opposite time. You know what? I'm going to operate under the assumption that it's 61, and I'm going to look for the S. Yeah, they're being tricksy. So you see that there are some that are upside down and some that aren't. They're still upright. I'm 90% sure that this is 61. Maybe not. If it's that... Oh, you know what? There is one of this dude. That's a G. G? What? A G? That's 100% a G. I'm confused. We'll find out. That's a K. I'm officially confused. Intrigued and confused. I'm honestly, with the K and the G, I'm gonna look at the back. Not solutions, hints. 102. Remember that remember that the dancing men that you're seeing are upside down and mirror imaged reflection of the actual marks you need to decode. See, I was just like, oh, it's supposed to be on the ceiling, not here. There we go. Be careful because sometimes figures in the dancing men code really are standing on their heads. Once you've got the dancing men, you'll need to decode them using the code wheel. So, with that, can I rotate? No, I can't. I'm going to... Where did I put these? Save. And downloads. I am going to flip this. Because that will make life easier. I was like, K and G, this is wrong. Tools, rotate, tools, rotate. There we go. Because I was like, yeah, that doesn't exist. Okay, save. Did it automatically flip it for y'all? Yay, it did. Okay. There we go. It's a little bit disconcerting, but let's try that again. New thing here. Okay. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I did get one of them though, because I was just like, that's the thing. It's an S. So the third one from the end is an S. Okay, well now I'm just going to look at the screen to do this. 98? 98? Okay, so standing upright with the leg, the right leg bent, right arm straight up. There we go, an F. This is going to go much faster now. Okay, legs outstretched, the right arm stretched out. Is a K. Did I already do that one? Oh, except it's no longer over there. It's there. Double check that. I'm going to find the S. Yeah. Yep, that's correct. Okay, now upside down with one leg. Nope. Oh, shoot. 102. Yeah, with one arm up. I mean down because it's upside down now. Wrong arm. That one. G. Maybe it still needs to be flipped further. I am very confused, but we will figure this out. Knees bent. One arm up. Yes. Y. Straight bent. Yep. W. Yep. I think that we still need to mirror it. But I'm doing this anyway, just in case. The last two are upside down with their legs sticking up in the air. Yep, this absolutely needs to be flipped, but I'm doing this anyway just as a practice. Both arms. And actually, this one will be correct. T. Okay, so the S and the T stay the same because they are fully mirrored. But now let's go back into that. And tools, flip horizontal, save. Let's try this again. So the T is correct. We just need to flip the arm. Well, wait, because there are two letters that are, so the, what is that, a P? Yeah, because that stays the same, it's a T. And then that is the fourth one from the end, and it's a D. A D. And then the fourth one in G. I'm officially confused. I'm going to look for what the answer is. I was guessing 61. I'm failing at this. Ah! I was correct. It's just nonsensical. The dancing men can be decoded. Oh, you're supposed to input them. Oh, that makes more sense. Okay. Because there's also the letter input. Let me look at this. T is indeed an S. Well, I was right about 61. I just was failing to figure it out. Yeah, so you're supposed to, you get all of the numbers, and then you go through and you input them in here, and then it comes out with the actual thing. So I was right that it was 61. I just wasn't going about it correctly. That was a struggle. Okay, 61. A couple of apes. I'm gonna hide this. Hide my shame. It does not exist anymore. There we go. You run and stumble along the gloomy tunnel as fast as you dare. In the distance, you can see the thinnest crack of light, almost impossibly far away at the river end of the tunnel. Impossibly. I am failing at saying words today. Don't mind me. Your feet are snagged and deflected by the uneven sleepers of what was once the handcart track. It's difficult progress, but grunts of pursuit echo from the mouth of the tunnel behind you, so you cannot afford to be careful. When you run, you trip and stagger. You end up scurrying forward in a stooped crouch like a couple of apes, hands extended. It's almost impossible to be as fast as you need to be, and when you're about halfway along the infernal tunnel, you stop to compose yourselves. Watson puts his revolver back in his jacket pocket as you pull out a tin of matches. You contemplate if the benefit is going to outweigh the risk. You may be able to progress faster if you can see the ground better ahead of you, but perhaps a light will make you a pinpoint target for your enemies should any be armed with a gun. You opt for a middle way, just the flare of a struck match to see what's ahead, and then you'll blow it out. Strike the match, turn to 16. The Sumatran rat puzzle. Oh, goodness. Well, I know that I took a picture of this one. 16. Needs to be much bigger than that. Doop, doop, doop. Let's see. I think that will be... Yeah. Ratigan. The light flares up and 100 eyes reflect the spark back at you. Rats. A lot of rats. I think 100's a bit excessive. They had been creeping out of the crevices and coming up through the drains, attracted by the unusual presence of people. Of course, there are rats down here. Lean rats, plump rats, aggressive rats, timid rats, cunning rats, diseased rats, sewer rats, all kinds of London rat. You realize it must be inevitable to find seething colonies of them down here near to the river, and that, of course, is where this tunnel leads. Watson is unperturbed by rats. His military experience has inured him to far worse afflictions than a mere rodent presence. But you are reminded of the especially unpleasant business you had with the giant rat of Sumatra. That case was troubling because it was almost paranormal in its resolution. You experience the tiniest shiver down your back as you remember the adventure and its possible consequences. You are famously a man who is not at the whim of irrational matters such as superstitious fear of a monstrous rat. And yet it is just possible that, at this very precise moment, as you hear the blood racing in your ears, it stems not just from exertion as you hurry on your way, but from some remote hex cast by the begetter of the Sumatran rodent. Does its influence still haunt you? Does every rat in the tunnel have an identical match? If you think every rat you see has a twin, turn to 3. If you prefer to say that not all the rats are paired, turn to 80. Interesting. Okay, so we just have to check for matches. So the top and bottom middle match. The 2 above the top middle match. 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 As far as I can tell, match. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Yep. They all match. So turn to 3, unless the eyes are different. The eyes look the same. I think that they're all the same. We'll find out. Turn to 3. Moriarty's hoodlums. The noise of your pursuers' heavy footfalls echoes down the tunnel. The uneven ground, treacherous with rails, debris, lumps of coal, and pooled water, impedes the hunters as well as the hunted. But the scurrying rats disrupt your concentration. How many killers does Moriarty have at his disposal? Pants Watson. It's an interesting question, Watson, you reply, your hawk-like eyes darting about in search of rats. My irregulars have over the years gathered some very specific information about his operation, and I can tell you this. Moriarty teaches the hoodlums in his inner circle 4 distinct methods of killing: poisoning, marksmanship, strangulation, and knife work. Every hoodlum in his inner circle knows exactly 2 of those methods. That is very oddly specific, just like the doctors gasping. Moriarty is a professor of mathematics, Watson, so he cannot help himself. But it is that exact weakness that lets us calculate the number of hoodlums in his inner circle, because, and this, my dear friend, is the key, it also ensures that whichever pair of methods you pick, there will be one and only one hoodlum who's trained in both of them. Watson stops and catches his breath and shakes his head. Holmes, could you just tell me roughly how many of these hoodlums he has? Fewer than 7 or more than 7? Oh no, more math. We somehow found some hoodlums who can't figure out how to knife someone. Right? Fewer than 7 or more than 7. I hate this. Inner circle. 2. I'm going to be lazy and look at the answer, or look at the clue first. Let's look at the clue first. The hint for 3 is, so there's 4 methods and everyone knows at least 2. Correct. Knows only 2. Not at least 2, only 2. That's important. So there are a number of ways to approach this problem. Here's one. Pick one of the 4 methods of killing and try to work out how many hoodlums can possibly know it. That's easier than it sounds because you know it must be a single hoodlum skilled in each of the other methods, and you know exactly how many other methods there are. It's going to be the same for each of the methods, so once you've worked out how many hoodlums know each method, you're almost there. So, 3? Yeah, I'm just going to look at the answer. Each method of killing is known by a hoodlum skilled in each of the other methods, of which there are 3. So there must so must be known by 3 hoodlums. Since there are 4 methods in total, it's 3 times 4. 12 hoodlums. But you know that every hoodlum knows 2 and only 2 methods, which means that you've counted each hoodlum twice. Okay, so half the total and you get the answer. Moriarty has 6 hoodlums. Therefore, the solution is fewer than 7. Okay. Oh, and I realized I still have the rats up. Let me just cover those up. Fewer than 7. Turn to 65. A lucky bullet. No sooner have you confidently declared the number of trained killers at your enemy's disposal than a shot booms out from behind you. One of them is shooting down the tunnel. You hear the bullet ricocheting off the brickwork as it hurtles past you. You're already over 2/3 of the way along the tunnel, so it would have to be an improbably lucky shot to hit you. But such logic has never been a reassurance to all those who have subsequently been struck by such an unlikely bullet. So you and Watson break into a shambling run. Stumbling, arms outstretched, you hurtle onwards until you hit the end. Thin, plain doors chained on the outside against vagabonds. Watson, slightly ahead of you, does not slow down. His final charge has a spirit of which his former regiment, not to mention rugby club, would have been proud. The doors fly apart, metalwork tearing out of splintered wood, and you see pre-dawn light reflecting off the river water below. Angry shouts echo down the tunnel behind you, together with 1 or 2 more shots, as you dart out of the mouth of the tunnel and turn abruptly left. You run along the river path, past tied-up boats. Scrambling up a flight of stone stairs, you are on Kew Bridge. Only then do you pause to look behind. Your pursuers know they have been defeated. You see them standing by the broken tunnel doors by the river, looking up at you before slinking back into the hole. Time to hurry to Newgate Jail. 47. Thwarted. We have reached the end. So I will read this aloud. You run out onto the road and flag down a cab. It's still pre-dawn, but there are always some hopefuls about, and rush to Newgate Jail. The cab races between dark buildings, clattering through the streets as London tries to sleep. The wheels come skidding to a halt outside the prison, and you leap out into a group of people milling around the gate. Something is afoot. Among the crowd, you recognize Inspector Lestrade of the Yard. Holmes, he says, and you see he looks almost flustered. Do you know anything about all this? About what aspect of this exactly? Lestrade rubs his face wearily. The governor of the prison authorized the sudden transfer of prisoner Sebastian Moran, you'll remember who he is, I'm sure, to another prison an hour ago, except it wasn't really the governor, but someone impersonating him. You snap your fingers. Of course, we were too slow, Watson. You turn to Lestrade. It was Moriarty himself, my dear Inspector, who impersonated the governor, and he did so having trapped me inside the pumping station at Kew Bridge, from which we have just come. If you send your men there, they will find Mr. Sidney Smith, the real governor, waiting to be unchained. I think we will return to Baker Street now. It has been a long night. You hail another cab, this time in a manner more resigned than rushed. Watson sits silently beside you as you ride slowly through the streets of London, each of you contemplating the events of the evening. You did well to escape, but you were not in time to thwart Moriarty's execution of his plan. Moriarty, the Napoleon of crime, has beaten you because, despite another agent's attempt to guide you, you missed something along the way. You didn't quite follow everything perfectly, and imperfection is not good enough for Sherlock Holmes. Okay, so we missed something along the way, which is fine. Jailbreak from Newgate. Governor kidnapped. Disguise. Subterfuge. Sherlock Holmes rescues governor. Escaped prisoner is danger to public. World's greatest consulting detective comes close to thwarting masterful escape plan. That's the little news articles. Let's see what they have to say. Dramatic events unfolded at dawn this morning as the daring and dastardly plans of the criminal mastermind Professor James Moriarty were successfully enacted, despite the best efforts of consulting detective Mr. Sherlock Holmes. The Napoleon of crime's audacious scheme allowed his henchman, society sniper Colonel Sebastian Moran, 49, languishing in Newgate cells awaiting trial for the murder of Mr. Robert Adair, dare to escape incarceration. Mr. Sherlock Holmes, together with his faithful companion, Dr. Watson, failed to arrive in time to foil the plot. Some may wonder how Moriarty and Moran managed to slip the grasp of the law and the redoubtable Holmes quite so easily. Why was there no guard at the prison gate? Is there something the British public are not being told? Next article, misdirection and mummery. First reports suggest the governor of Newgate Jail, Mr. Sidney Smith, was kidnapped and held at Kew Waterworks, allowing Moriarty to assume his persona and serving as a diversion to distract Mr. Sherlock Holmes. Mr. Smith was collected by Scotland Yard and is recovering at home. Dr. Watson confessed the difficulties he and Holmes encountered. It was an audacious stratagem, but one that Holmes saw through almost instantaneously. Moriarty might be a master of disguise, good enough to fool the Newgate jail staff, but not Holmes, and the riddles and enigmas with which Moriarty sought to delay and divert us from his true intentions were a bracing workout for the brain, but not, as it transpires, insoluble. It was unfortunate that time was always against us, for we really stood no chance of escaping swiftly enough to prevent this from occurring, despite our best efforts. The last article says, The Murderous Toff. Colonel Sebastian Moran, Eton, Oxford, and the first Bangalore pioneers, served with distinction in the Afghan and Anglo-Indian Wars, and is a famed big-game hunter and prominent member of the Bagatelle Club. He is allegedly chief of staff to Professor Moriarty, with special responsibility for overseeing security and heavy removals. Now, I'm curious if we were not supposed to count the rats. I'm gonna look. Where are the rats? Rats! Where are you located? Was it? There it is. If you preferred to say that not all rats are paired, turn to 80. So you turn to 80. Number of hoodlums. No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you count them or not. I'm going to find the solution. You know what? I think that it was probably when it said to read the letters backwards. Hang on, let me look at it. Read the letters from the end of the note to the start. So this is number 23. This is a secret message that we never actually solved. I thought it was going to come up later. So let's see, 23. It's a special clue. Maybe you should record it in Watson's notebook. Okay, well, let me see what the solution is. 23. This is one of the 3 clues you can use to thwart Moriarty. Okay. Someone has bravely tampered with the torn note and hidden a message in there to help you succeed. When you have all 3 such clues, each marked with a key symbol, revisit the torn note you were given at the start. Okay, I'm curious. I want to see. So we have the read the letters from the note from the start. Everything that has a key. No key. No key. They might all be notes, potentially. But I don't know. I want to find it. No key, no key. I will find them. Maybe. I'm already most of the way through. Where are the keys? I do not see a key there. I will admit, I'm not seeing any other keys. I did not see any other keys. What? I am confused. I did find the actual saves the day message. So I'm curious. I'm going to backtrack. You got to go to 83 and then 80. Oh, it did matter. If I had not gone for the rats, if I had not counted the rats, we could have saved the day. Stupid rats. It is not the end of the world. Ah, well. That was fun. I enjoyed that. I'm intrigued. Let's read the proper ending. Just to end the day, to end this stream. So, and I won't read the Gazette here, but I'll read the story and then the turn to the final chapter of this. You run out onto the road and, flagging down a hansom on Kew Bridge, which is, car, rush to Newgate Jail. The cab races between dark buildings, clattering through the streets as London tries to sleep. The wheels skitter on the stone as you skid to a halt outside the prison gates. There is another carriage, a 2-horse Clarence, standing by the gates, with its driver sitting ready and its doors swung open, and a broad, neckless man with a bald head loitering beside it. You are not too late. Leaving Watson to pay off your hansom, you spring down and run towards the prison door. The door swings open before you have covered half the distance. A guard appears momentarily to survey the scene before a top-hatted gentleman with a gray mutton-chop whiskers and a silver-tipped cane steps confidently through. Behind him, in the dimly lit courtyard, you glimpse a prisoner being led by more guards. "Stop," you cry. "This is not the governor." There's a shout and a sudden report as a gun goes off behind you. You spin around in time to see Watson wrestle the bald man by the Clarence down to the ground as a snub-nosed pistol clatters away over the cobbles, the doctor having knocked his aim aside even as the shot was fired at you. The guards in the courtyard bundle the prisoner into a corner and quickly make him secure, while 2 more run out with cudgels drawn. The carriage driver slaps his reins and the carriage lurches off, its open door flapping. The guards pull apart the 2 fighting men, Watson and the gunman, and hold them both even as the carriage disappears into the night. Another guard throws his weight against the prison door and it swings shut. You look down. At your feet is a silver-tipped cane and 1/2 of a pair of fake mutton-chop sideburns. You've stopped Sebastian Moran from being sprung from the jail, but the false governor Moriarty has disappeared. And then we turn to 92. Mrs. Hudson, we're back at 221B Baker Street. Mrs. Hudson places the tray on the table between you. She's brought tea for you and your guests, Mr. Sidney Robert Smith, the governor of Newgate Jail, and his daughter Alice. The governor has come to thank you and Dr. Watson for precipitating his rescue the day before, and for having disrupted the attempted escape of Newgate inmate and Moriarty's henchman, Colonel Sebastian Moran. Mr. Smith shakes you warmly by the hand. "It is fortunate indeed that you figured it all out, Mr. Holmes," he says. He goes on to describe how he came to be kidnapped by men he now knows to have been Moriarty's lackeys, and used as bait to distract you from the real crime. Watson listens intently, but your mind wanders because you have already inferred all the important details from the events that have transpired. You look instead to his daughter Alice, a quiet but alert young woman, widowed tragically young, as you had deduced before you met, and confirmed here by an entirely unscratched wedding band on her digitus quartus. Despite her silence, you know Alice to be sharp-witted, as evidenced by pencil marks on the back of a pocketbook she carries with her parasol, jottings that you recognize as workings around the word denouement, which was the trickiest part of the word puzzle in this morning's edition of the Times. "I trust your baby is back in your safekeeping and is well," you say to the young woman, who nods gratefully in reply. Watson seems surprised that you knew she had a baby, but unlike you, he is not remembering back to the unequal couple standing under the gaslight at the beginning of this whole affair. I was just thinking about this. And the bundle being held by the hoodlum who was accompanying her. And thank you for tampering with the note Moriarty forced you to deliver to me. I was so afeard for my baby and my father, Alice replies shyly, that I could not risk direct communication. I had to play my part, but I was confident that the great Sherlock Holmes would require only the subtlest of clues, so I was emboldened enough to dare communicate them to you in the form of a code, sir, despite the risk. It was you who delivered the torn note, Watson asks her, catching up. He is the dearest of fellows, but incredibly slow sometimes, and he always goes to chivalrous pieces in the presence of the fairer sex. You lift your teacup to your lips and close your eyes, savoring the taste of Mrs. Hudson's excellent tea. The end. Okay, and that is the end of the Sherlock Holmes Escape Book, The Adventure of the London Waterworks. I hope you had fun decoding things and playing with me. It was very convoluted and challenging, and I really enjoyed playing this. So I'm very glad that I picked this up. And yes, the end! Yay! Very exciting stuff. I now need to go take care of doggos because I have been informed that there was an accident in the kitchen and I need to clean that up. But in any case, let's see if there's anyone to rate. Is it worth rating? Let me look. Yeah, there are 3 people here. Helen just started streaming. Alice again. Hey, let's rate Alice. Not Alice, Helen, but you know. Alice, what's it called again? Alice Return to Madness, something like that. It's a really fun game. I really enjoyed playing it with my spouse Creature a while back, and Helen's just been getting into it. So let's go ahead and raid. It's time for Alice Returns. So y'all have a good rest of your evening, your day, whatever it may be, and I will see you for Pokemon sometime this week. It might be Thursday, it might be tomorrow. We'll find out. Anyway, bye. Have a good one.